Say hello to your friends, fangirls and fanboys. It's episode 64 of Electric Fancave on electricbeast.com, and the girls are running this mother. Corrigan Vaughn, Kristen Latterell, and the spectacular Alex Blakey here, and as promised, in honor of the latest installment of Pitch Perfect, we're celebrating female friendship! We're going to talk about Pitch Perfect and Mad Max, the two epic chick picks out this week. We're going to discuss which characters from Now and Then in Babysitters Club we most related to as children, and we'll read your answers to the question of the week. Favorite female friendships from TV and movies. All that, plus probably a lot of ranting, hand gestures, and laughter, so excuse us while we get this show on the road. Hey, ladies.
What's up?
Hi. How's it? Oh no, I just accidentally opened Spotify. That was a poor choice.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that's how you guys doing?
Good. Really good. Awesome.
Good. We are all here. Unintentionally matching today.
We are.
Which is really exciting.
As we do.
For those who listen to the podcast as opposed to watch it, we all coincidentally are wearing big, thick-rimmed glasses today. So it goes along with our theme.
Yeah.
Celebrating female friendship.
Celebrating ladies.
On Wednesday, we wear thick-rimmed glasses. So this may not be the first time that we recorded this. Not
definitely
exactly. Listen, fangirls and fanboys. Last week, we recorded a nice long female friendship podcast for you. We were really stoked on it. We had a really good time. And then my computer crashed, and the file got totally corrupted. I've tried everything, all the codecs, all the nonsense and forums and whatnot, and we couldn't get it back. So we're going to try to recapture some of the magic of last week's.
Hopefully we can.
Hopefully we can.
We can do it. I think this is a Gamergate conspiracy, you guys. Nobody wanted to hear us talk about
it really is. The men's rights activists came for the podcast.
Because we have such a huge impact on pop culture, they were like, we need to shut these ladies down.
Yeah, they gotta shut us down now. You know, someone somewhere has a time machine, and like they know that we become really influential, and they come back to like terminate us.
Or
like,
every Terminator.
We are straight up John Connor, Sarah Connor, any Connor. We're Connors, you guys.
Heyo.
What's happening?
Always wanted to be one.
Guys, I learned an interesting thing.
What did you learn?
You know, like those life hack articles and stuff that
yes,
tell you,
I love them.
Yeah, I love them and I hate them because it's like I partially feel like I'm like I can't believe I'm giving this website clicks for something that I've probably seen a meme of 300 times. But I have tiny ears, like they're just way too small for my body, and I have a really hard time putting earbuds in them. So it's like I always have to get like special over the ear ones or like special shaped ones to stay inside my ear and not just like pop back out from the pressure of it being too small. But I found out earbuds are meant to be worn turned up and put over the back of your ear.
No.
And they stay. They stay in your ear, you guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's a magic tip that
learn
now you
something
guys
new
know.
every day.
Yeah. Now, next time your earbuds are falling out, like, you're going to think of me. So congratulations.
I will.
Hey,
thank you.
You know what I just realized?
What?
I'm not wearing my earbuds.
I did. As I explained it, I was like, I don't think Alex is wearing them.
Do I need to go get them? Can you hear me?
I think you're all right.
Is he okay?
Yeah. I don't hear any echoes or anything.
Literally, if we have to do this a third time, like...
She's going to quit.
So. We have to do it again because Alex didn't wear her earbuds.
On purpose. I didn't wear them on purpose so we could do it again. I just love being out, you guys.
It was all part of her plan. She's just like, I just really like doing this. Just like getting together with
like
you guys.
It's like Groundhog's Day.
I know. Like, the last time we did this, too, like, the next week, I, like, missed you guys. Get together.
Oh, so really it's Alex who's conspiring to get us to
I did it. I broke the computer.
Whoa. I love it. Okay, well, then, well, I mean, I'm sorry, I rushed. I explained my earbud story, but how are you guys doing? How's everything?
Good.
Wow.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if you were going to go or not. That was a weird, like, I don't want to talk over you. Good. I was in Mexico this weekend.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So
Mexico.
That was good. It was a good weekend. Had some good times with the kids. Are great, and yeah. So that was really fun.
Yeah.
Now
Kristen
I'm back at work.
turned up at a gathering we were having, just unshowered, straight from Mexico.
Yeah.
Great.
And I almost fell asleep standing up behind Michelle in the chair. And Emily comes over and she goes, "Do you want to take a nap?" And I was like, "I do, but if I sleep here, I'll never leave. I'll just sleep here forever." So it's like, no, I'm just going to hang for a little bit longer, try and drink some caffeine, and then head out. So
yeah. It's great. Kristen hits this mode at any given party where, like the exhaustion sets in. Like, so, you know, coming from Mexico, the exhaustion was already, like, partly there. But there is a point at which Kristen has been surrounded by people and, like, excitement long enough that it's, like, she's like a robot and she just, like, shuts off. And so, like, I was walking to the bathroom and I saw her leaning against this chair, just, staring into space. I was like, I feel like you're done. Just like, yeah, I think I'm going to go home now.
You just like a pill at parties and just take a little power nap and come back strong.
Go sleep in the nursery of the.
I know. Go take a nap with Ruby. I'm like, "Hey, Rubes."
Yeah.
She comes in. I'm like, "No, this is my binky now." But
gross.
But yeah, so then that was good. And then we tried to record today, and my office got hijacked, so I'm been relegated to the basement. So.
Are you really
people outside this office probably think I'm like super creepy and weird. I'm like, "Hey, I'm just gonna use that. So if I get like, if you hear me kind of yelling and being excited, just ignore it." And there she was, this girl Crystal's like, "Okay."
All the basement people are like, "What? We don't allow that down here."
I know. They're like mole people down here, so it's like it's a thrill when someone new comes down, you know.
Exactly. How about you, Alex? What's going on?
I'm doing good. I just put in an offer on a house in Washington.
Washington. Are you doing Vancouver?
Yeah, it's near Vancouver. It's Woodland.
Very nice. That's exciting. That's so grown up.
Like barf. Like I'm too nervous. Like I woke up at 6 a.m. and like couldn't go back to sleep. I cleaned the entire kitchen. I'm like freaking out. I don't like it. Should be like buying a car or something. Like buying
that doesn't make you nervous.
Ridiculous. Well, no, but at least it's like quick.
Okay,
you know?
that's fair enough.
Like you get to go home with the car that day. You don't have to wait like 2 months and you know.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But it's exciting nonetheless, and that's a great place to live.
It's not exciting. It's terrifying.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. I mean, you're the most adult out of the three of us here.
It's true.
So.
Yeah, I'm in an office with an air mattress at my feet because I haven't deflated it since people stayed here 4 days ago. So there you go. I think you're winning.
Yeah, I would definitely say you're winning.
All right, you guys. So let's see what we talked about, and try to bring it back around again, shall we? So for one thing, to explain our sort of mission here, we have been of late in the past few weeks. If you listen to us regularly, you've heard us talk about our new motto. Women contain multitudes. Because gosh darn it, we're sick of being put in boxes. Am I right?
Right.
And so that's a lawnmower or something like that. Sorry, everybody at home. I hope you can hear all right. Anyways, so we decided we were going to put together a female friendship right outside the window. He's like standing there. Like what you doing? What you working on? Cool. Anyway, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay.
All right, good. So we decided that we were going to do a female friendship episode to celebrate gals being friends with each other and all the different types of women that exist and the ways we're super cool and all of that. And so we're going to talk about our favorite friendships in...
This was not meant to be, you guys. This was just not meant to be.
Oh my god. It's ridiculous. The window's closed. There's not anything I can do about that. Okay. So we're going to talk about the things I talk about in the intro. About our favorite female friendships, Mad Max, Pitch Perfect, all that jazz. I was going to read to you a letter from Miss Marvel that said essentially what we were talking about, but now in the week since the last time we recorded this, I lost it. Of course. But I know Kristen and I read an interesting article this week that was kind of cool. Just as sort of a precursor to what we're discussing. That was, I believe it's called Papa's Please Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Princesses. And essentially this whole article is talking about like this tendency we have to say like, you know, like that parents tend to have about their daughters, like, oh, I don't want my daughter to like play with girly toys only. I really like for her to play with like things that are about science, like Legos and building. And this author is basically saying like that's like a false dichotomy. Like the opposite of science isn't girl. The opposite of build isn't girl. Like we should be allowed to do those things and all of that be part of the like female experience, you know? And I just thought that was like, I read it and it was right after we lost the podcast and everything was gone and we'd missed out on doing our first try of this, that I read that and I was like, oh, this is so good. So I just posted that instead of the podcast. But I just thought that was delightful, don't you think?
I did. Yeah, I really appreciated it too because it's that same, I mean, he said it so great, or she did.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure what the author.
Yeah. Whoever the author was. No, I think it was because I think she was a scientist and she was saying how like, hey, I am a scientist, but I'm also a woman and that's okay. And it's okay to like Barbies and then also like math. Like those those don't cancel each other out. And I appreciated that because I feel like there was that, and I think because she works for that company that like makes sciencey things for girls.
Goldie Blocks?
Yeah. Yes.
There you go. Nice.
There you go.
Alex with the save. I didn't even read the article, and she knows.
Yeah, and that was the kind of where, like, the people came to her was like, oh, I'm so glad you make this because I don't want my daughter to be into girly things. I want her to be into, like, I want her to be into math. You're like, what? That's, okay. No. Math is girly, too, and it's also boy-y. They don't even have a saying for that.
Everybody.
Yeah, we don't even have a saying for, I guess, manly. I guess it'd be manly. But.
Manly. That's a weird thing to say about, like, little boys.
I know, right? It's like, I don't know. So, I don't know. It's just always so interesting to me because, I loved it. It was refreshing and it was nice to hear. And it was funny because this weekend I was sitting with a mom and talking with her and she she has 2 adopted children and she was saying like, oh, I'm so glad my daughter like didn't turn out to be like a girly girl. Like, I don't think I'd be able to relate to her. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, yep, that's great. It's good. Glad.
I think I used to.
And I'm like sitting here and I'm like, do not blow up this woman because first of all, like, I understand like where her, I get it. She would appreciate the fact that her and her daughter are similar,
right?
Along the, and so I know that's what she was trying to say when I really wanted to be like, just who cares if she likes girly things? That's okay too. People contain multitudes. Maybe she does like girly things and she's too afraid to tell you because you're just so against things being girly. Well, guess what? People can be girly and people cannot be girly. It does not matter, and you should love her just the same, regardless of those things. Who cares? Gosh, and I wanted to like get all ranty on her. I'm like, you know what? You need to calm down because it's fine. And I was just like sitting there. I'm like, yeah, it's great. It's great that your daughter likes things like soccer. Guess what? Soccer is girly. Oh, guess what? Sports are girly. Oh, guess what? Playing the piano is girly, and so is playing with Barbies, and so is reading, math and science books, and so is going to football games. Like, all of those things can be considered girly also.
Yes.
Damn it.
Yes.
I'm glad the Kristen rants have started earlier this episode, you guys. You're actually, this is...
I need the Anna Kendrick article.
I know, like, there we go. I mean, yes, and I think at one point I would have said like the same kind of thing, like, oh, I don't know what I would do if I had like girls. Like, I'm not good at this stuff. Like, I don't know how to do hair and makeup and blah, 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 blah. And I'd be like, oh, I just wouldn't know how to do like girly things. Like, I would much rather have boys. We can play sports and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's dumb because I was a kid who like was a girl and did all like sports and science and stuff like that. So why would it make sense for me to say like, oh, I don't want a girl. I don't want a girly girl or whatever. Like, sure, if I'm not good at makeup and things, maybe she will be, and she'll use YouTube tutorials.
Right? Or what I think that's so great about it is I think people are under this impression that, like, young people, like, we have to be able to impart all of our wisdom to them. Mm-hmm. And it's like, guess what? You might have a daughter who's very different from you. Maybe she does love makeup and she loves art or whatever, and she loves doing those kinds of things. And yeah, maybe you don't understand it. Like, my mom doesn't understand why I like weird things like the Civil War. Like, she thinks that's so funky. But guess what? She sits and she listens to me, God bless her, while I rant about McClellan in a book that I read or why Buchanan is the worst ever. And she sits there and she's like, she loves the fact that I've found something that I love.
Right.
And I think we're so worried about, like, being the same as our kids growing up to be like us or not being able to relate to them. I was like, don't worry about having to relate to them. Just love them and love them for what they love, and you'll be fine. Like, you're not going to be a bad parent because you don't understand how to do your daughter's hair or makeup or dress her hip or cool. Like, she will figure that out on her own. There are plenty of other people to teach that, and she will probably actually teach you a few things along the way. Like, let's be honest, like my mom, like, probably wasn't, you know, think about it. She's a mom. She's like, oh, I don't know what's cool, but like, she'll look at the stuff that I wear, the stuff that I'm into, and she's like, oh, I could do that. I can, you know, and it's like a give and take thing between you. And I feel like we're so weird about, like, it's like this top-down mentality where I'm like, no, like, as your kids grow up, it's like, learn from each other. They are just smaller people than you. Like, come on, you guys.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. That's
girls, especially, I guess, more credit than what we give them. Yeah. You know? Like, anyway. Gosh, I'm like on a roll today.
I know. It's like you thought you were done, and then you were like, no, I have more to say about this.
I could do this all day.
Yeah. And keeping in mind, I always think, too, like people's interests expand, like, a lot. I mean, you should see photos of Alex and I in high school.
Hey.
Let's be real about it, Alex. We didn't know what was going on.
And now look at you guys. Ours were lipstick.
We thought we did.
Yeah, we thought we knew. It was also, you know, the early 2000s. That was an awkward time.
That is true.
It's a weird time in American history. I was just watching, I was rewatching The OC.
Hey, where are you rewatching that? Because can I tell you, I've seen like 4 episodes ever.
Ever?
Okay. Well, I know.
Oh man, I'm just gonna have to send you. I have box sets. That's how I was rewatching it.
Oh,
I just have to send you my box sets.
Back in the day when we used to watch things on DVD.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have all 5 seasons of Alias, so
yeah, I have the full Boy Meets World, you know, set, all of this stuff. So these are like things that I just like to sit and watch. But watching like Boy Meets World, you become like so aware of. I mean, not Boy Meets World. The OC, like how weird fashion was in that like 2003, 2004, 2005 time. Just like, what was happening? We were in like a strange transitional period between the 90s and the late aughts. Like, we didn't know what to do with it. We were trying to figure out if we should dress like robots because it was the millennium. Like,
yeah, why was there so much metallic?
Yeah.
Why?
Why is everything so shiny? And like, why were our bellies always hanging out?
Yeah. Always. And the little flippy skirts. Do you remember there was a lot of those on the OC?
Yes. Oh, yes. And spaghetti straps, too, which like are very rarely flattering. So it's like spaghetti straps and midriffs.
Yeah. And then, and all often at the same time.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's not enough clothes.
Yeah, I'm like, the proctors are going to write me up for that. Like, there's no way
Would you say, Alex?
It's Orange County. It's very hot.
Orange County, yes. It's very warm in Orange County, you know. It's just, it's funny to, like, watch this and, like, look back on, like, the fashions of that. I forgive myself a little more. Like, everyone on that show, boys included, wears chokers. Like,
I forgot
the Ryan Atwood choker.
Like the braided...
Oh man, like they'll be like just like a strand, you know. They're not as intricate as like when we wore like the beaded ones when we were in like 8th grade or like things like that. But they're definitely still wearing chokers. Like that doesn't look good on anybody. That is not a good look. And wife beaters, the guys wearing wife beaters, just like.
But let's admit it though, Ben McKenzie.
His arms were huge back then too.
That is an offensive name for them, but
it is. Beaters.
Hold on one second. My computer's gonna die. Now that I don't hear. I'm just straight sabotaging this podcast right now.
I know. I was like, also, I don't have my plug because it's in my office where I got booted out of, and so
we have like a certain amount of time.
We do have a finite time of talking here.
Can we talk about how your hair is very Dawn Schaefer, like Babysitters Club? Like that's how Dawn's hair would look.
I always say Kristen is like. She's exactly what I imagine, like, everyone in Babysitters Club would look like. I was like, she is, like, the white girl I always wanted to be.
She's Dawn. She has the Dawn hair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're doing it.
Thank you.
I always, like, that's the thing. Kristen's high school pictures, too, aren't, like, nearly, like, as embarrassing, because she's very much just, like, a normal dressed, like...
I basically look the same. I just have T-shirts on and this hair, too.
Always exactly the same.
Haven't changed in the past 15 years.
Exactly. I like always we took all these pictures at this apple orchard once and like we're like all posing and stuff, and she's wearing like this, you know, sort of standard Kristen flannel and all that, with the hair and all that. And I was like, Kristen, you're like what I imagined, like going to summer camp and becoming, like, just with the straight teeth and the hair and all of that.
I didn't even wear like 2000s fashion. I wore like my dad's clothes. He's 6'4". So that was a choice that I made.
Well, I think both of us had like this little bit of stuck in the mid-90s too. This like kind of grunge, like.
Oh, I wish I was grunge. That's like the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
We took a trip with some high school kids down to Carlsbad, and we were taking like a group picture at the end down on the beach. And we took it, and we're looking at it afterwards, and I'm talking with my friend Cody, and we're like, this picture could have been taken in like 97 because they all had like flannels, and they looked greasy and dirty because that's like cool now, I guess. And
they all dress like it's the 90s.
Why is this coming back?
I don't mind it that much because I still have a lot of my clothes from the 90s, and it just means that most of the time I'm dressed like everybody else, like, just because.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper when I can just recycle everything I wore when I was 12.
Yeah. I wish I could fit into things that I wore when I was 12.
So I'm essentially, like, the only thing that grows is, like, my rack. Everything else stays essentially the same.
That is true.
Yeah.
I feel you on that.
Anyways, that was a tangent, you guys. We had to talk about.
You can't afford tangents with the issues that we're having.
I know, seriously. We wanted to talk a little bit about, like, the crazy wave of feminist movies that have come out in the past few weeks. I want to add, when we did this last week, what hadn't come out yet was Tomorrowland. And you guys, let me just say, we can't super talk about it because I'm the only one in this chat who has seen it. But you should see it. It's awesome. It's, like, super magic. I had just watched Interstellar the night before watching this, and Interstellar is terrible. But
well, let's not say it's terrible. I didn't think it was terrible.
It's pretty bad.
I made an active choice, like, not to see that movie, which I feel like people really like that movie, and they want to tell you like how much you should see that movie. But I just knew that it wasn't for me.
I mean, my sister loves it, and my friend Long lent it to me, so I was like, okay, I'll watch this. I knew I couldn't see it in the theater because I can't sit for 3 hours in a movie theater.
Yeah, it's kind of long. But it's good. I thought it was good.
It's too on the nose, you know? It's like, everything about it is just like, let me explain to you, like, love, and why love transcends everything, and, like, how do you end up in this... My thoughts about that Tesseract thing are just... Anyway, my point being, Tomorrowland has sort of a lot of similar elements to what Interstellar had, but, like, made you actually care. Or, as Q put it, you care about the Earth, not just the people who, like... are floating around in space or whatever, like, who are trying to save it. Like, you don't care about the Earth in Interstellar, but, like, in Tomorrowland you do, and it's like, the stakes are so high, and it's like, the world is being saved by these two super kick-ass little girls. And, like, they have, like, amazing fight scenes and stuff like that are just, like, out of control, and it's just super cool, you guys. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
It's like, if you liked Meet the Robinsons...
I love Meet the Robinsons!
Yes, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. You'll like Tomorrowland.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Magic of that. But the other two that everybody has seen at this point, Mad Max, Pitch Perfect 2. Laddie, which one should we start with?
Oh my gosh, let's talk about Mad Max. I love it so much.
Let's do it.
This is what I was most excited about to talk again, because I could talk for like hours about Mad Max. Like, all I want to do is talk about Mad Max, because it was bonkers.
About Mad Max.
So good.
And then everyone's fine.
I have to go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you kind of stopped. I kind of for hours, but then you stopped, so that was weird.
Yeah, no, talk about it, guys.
Alex, why don't you start?
It was insane. It was literally like you're gripping your, like, I don't know, seat handles? What the hell?
I don't know.
It's
armrests.
Armrests. You're gripping your armrests. You're flipping out. It was a longer movie, right? Like,
I'm not sure.
It wasn't that long. It was a little over 2 hours.
Was it?
For me, that's long.
Yeah.
But it went by so fast. Like, at no point are you bored.
Yeah.
No.
You don't have a chance to be bored.
Which you think you would be, because it's a giant car chase for 2 hours, but it's not boring.
No, and I usually have, like, kind of a short tolerance for that, because, like, I mean, I love action movies and everything, they're my bag, but when, like, there's, like, a long action scene, like, I zone out and I realize, like, I've been thinking about my grocery list and, like, what I need to do for school tomorrow and stuff, and then I'm like, oh, is this still happening?
Well, it's so crazy is because there's it's like a car chase, but there's so many things happening within the car chase. Usually, like, if you think about it, like, I love the Born Identity movies. Corey, I know, just zone out for a second. And they always are known for their car chase scenes. I was like, but it's kind of boring because really all they're doing is driving. And you're like, okay, I get it. Like, it's cool at the beginning. And then, like, halfway through, I'm like, all right, just get to where you're going. I know you're going to somehow elude them, you know? Right. But in this, it's like they are there's, like, full-on conversations happening inside. There are people being hidden. There are people fighting on top. There are things blowing up. There's people jumping on the car. There's people jumping in front of the car. There's things are on fire on the car. And it's like, so much happening while they're driving. You're like, how can you still be driving? And how does this car still run, mind you? Like, this is insanity. Like,
yeah. Sometimes I would get those practical questions in my mind, but a lot of times then they don't. You know, the car does stop running or things like that. And it's like, next, what do you do next? And they keep getting into these, like, moments where you're just like, there's no way they can get out of this.
Yeah,
you know?
This is it. This is where the movie ends.
Yeah.
This is how they all die.
Have you guys come across the feminist Mad Max Tumblr?
No, I don't have that, remember?
Okay. It's well, you don't have to have Tumblr to see
Right,
Tumblr.
But I don't go on it. So I only see things on Tumblr when you link them to me.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you see a lot of things Seth posts, and he posted this thing on there.
I didn't see it.
And it's like kind of like the Ryan Gosling memes, you know, where it's like, hey girl, you know, this kind of thing. And so it's like, you know, hey girl, why don't I take on the sidekick while you take on the big bad, so that we can win this thing? Or like one of them's like, hey girl, why don't you rest your gun? Use my shoulder to rest your gun because you're a better shot than I am.
Oh my god,
like
that part, I thought my heart was gonna explode with happiness and joy and love for that entire. Just like, what's so good about it is. She says one thing to him, you see him, like, mull it over, and then it's like, yeah. And it's like, there's no other conversation, there's no arguing, there's just the realization of, like, damn it, yeah, you're right. And it's like this beautiful moment of them finally kind of working together.
Yes.
You guys, and it's this just awesome, this movie is so good. It is so good. It is like a punch in the face, but you, like, love it. And I think I actually said this before when you were talking about it. It's like in the first Pitch Perfect, when Joe Latrulio's like, come on, Fat Amy, kick me in the balls. Like, I just want to feel something. It's like, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Everything about it is wonderful. The wives are incredible.
We have to talk about the wives.
Yeah.
Hey, Alex, what was your favorite part?
They're my favorite part. The what? Oh, my favorite part?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember we had the same favorite part, but you said.
I know. My favorite part is when Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, the pregnant wife, you know, all the wives are like, you know, there's the car chase going on, and she just, like, opens up the door and she just, like, stares him down with this look, and you're just like, yeah, like, it's so exciting. You're just, like, totally rooting for them.
Exactly.
They're awesome. They're so cool.
It's just
the wives.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are just on another level of awesome.
Yeah. They really are. And there's this team sort of thing they've got going on of, like, trying to do this, like, together, being very set on doing it together. But they're all, you know, they have these very different characteristics, too, and ways of going about it. So you have, like, one that's, like, sort of very, like, spiritual, you know, and one that's...
Luna Lovegood. That's what she was reminding.
Yes, totally. Yeah, the Luna Lovegood sister. You've got, like, you know, there's the, like, really just, like, you know, strong... one that's just, like, no nonsense. There's, like, you know, the girl who's, like, kind of the lovey, whatever, you know, they're all taking on these, like, different characteristics and things like that. And even the one who, like, kind of is like, F this, maybe let's just go back.
Yeah.
Take us back. It's fine. And so they're not all made to be, like, this one, like, you know, standard, like, this is what the, you know, his favorite wives are like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, these are girls with these different elements that all bring something to this team. And then, like, that one character, the pregnant character, like, using, like, her body and the idea that she is his property completely against him.
Yeah.
Is, like, it's just so perfect, you know?
And
perfect.
So it's like this perfect moment.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, yep. I mean, I was already saying yep, but then I was like, just, and also just the look. And I think, Corey, you had touched on this before where, like, people kind of give models, like, a hard time for, like, trying to be actresses. And that's granted, like, the last thing Rosie Huntington-Whiteley was in was Transformers. So it's not like she had a lot to go on with that whole thing. And she basically was in that just to be good looking. There wasn't really anything else for her to do.
Yeah.
But the look on her face, like, I felt like she did a really great job of just, and we had said this before too, both Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron did an excellent, like, eye acting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if to call it face acting, where they're not even saying anything, but it's just like a giant F you to Immortan Joe when she steps out of that car. And earlier in the movie we talked about, anyway, whatever, scratch that sentence. Also, you see, in Charlize Theron, we should really talk about her character for a little bit, of just how awesome she was. And I was talking with someone, and they were, my friend Archie, I told him he should see it, and he's like, I love how they didn't over-explain the movie. They didn't just be like, hello, here is everything, let me tell you the background of all these things. It's like, you kind of have to figure out, how it is going along. You never know why she doesn't have an arm. It's like, that's just a part of her.
I didn't even think about that. They never explain, like,
they never explain that.
Yeah,
and you
never
honestly
have to
don't
have, like,
need
a heart
to know.
heart, like, where she's like, this happened when I was, taken.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just like, it's there. It is what it is. Like,
yeah, you don't even really know what her deal is. Like, why is she, like, in this entire community of men and war boys, and, like, why is she, and it's like, he's, like, her favorite driver. Like, why is that? Where did she come from? What is her backstory? And they don't tell you, but I'm like, but I'm also okay with it. And it's like, she's got something that she's carrying with her, and that you can see it in her face the entire movie. The second she pulls out of there, and you can tell she knows what she's doing. She's, it's like this, all these emotions are going through her, and it's just, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then pretty much anytime her and Tom Hardy are having a stare down, when she's like, you're a freaking idiot. And he's like, basically like, yeah, I know. It's like, but that's how it is. Like, that's who I am. So take it or leave it. And that weird, it's just,
But I think that's one of the things that I keep on hailing about it, and not to just keep harping on how much I hate Interstellar, but like if you watch like the honest trailer of Interstellar, they point out one of the things that like Christopher Nolan always does is make the characters explain their motivations to you. So it's like always very obvious. They're gonna have a sit down with someone that explains exactly why they feel this way, and there's so much exposition to everything. And there's, like, this idea that, like, you need a ton of exposition for people to be able to follow a story, and Mad Max shows that's not true. You can fill in all these blanks, and you may not know exactly. You may be, like, theorizing what things are, like, why they're growing bumps on them, or, like, why she lost her arm, or things like that. But at the end of the day, the story doesn't necessarily need all of that spelled out in order for you to understand, like, why there would be, so much necessity for this. And one thing that people, like, point out too is like, we understand what those wives have been through without having to watch them be raped or anything like that, and it seems like movies always think like you need to show all of this, and this is like, no, you get what happened. Like, that guy is gross and disgusting. They clearly did not like super fall in love with him. We don't need to be shown what happened in order to understand it. And I think you're right. That's just like one of the things that this movie does so well is like, there was never a point where it was like, wait, explain that. Yeah. It's like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think the first like 20 minutes, I was like, whoa, what's happening? Like, it was very confusing. I couldn't even understand what everyone was saying. I'm like, am I supposed to know what's going on? Kind of, no, not really, but it all kind of, got together in the end. But
exactly, it comes together because you're not sure like what is with the blood bags and Valhalla. And
well, that one you kind of have to know a little bit more, I think, outside of the movie, like Valhalla being like the Viking, like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of mythology
concept that they're going for as a religious concept.
I forgot the one thing I did want to movie is
wait, say that a sentence again because you.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I want to make sure I mention is one of my other favorite parts of this movie is, I think just you're right, and all these women have such different characteristics, but they all have this like, there's all this same just like fighting spirit where it's like they've been brutalized clearly. Like you even see it when he goes to check on them and realize they're missing, like they're written on the wall, like we are not seeing all this stuff. that it was there, and she even says, like, I think it was Furiosa that mentions it, where it's like, it was, they came to Furiosa saying, like, you've got to get us out of here. Like, we've got to get out of here. And it was them kind of doing it. It wasn't like being like, oh, you poor ladies, like, let me save you. It's like, they're like, no, like, he has not, like, beaten out of us, like, our will to, like, survive and to get to a better life. He hasn't taken that from us yet. And so that also, that spirit, where I feel like so often you hear and these stories of knowing of, you know, women who've been brutalized, and it's like they're just so beaten down. And I feel like this is such a great story of, like, look at something that, like, they were able to make something out of the ashes of this. Like, they were able to still be like, I want something more. I know I don't deserve something like this. And I think I don't know if I'd mentioned it before also, but George Miller had brought in Eve Ensler, who she wrote the Vagina Monologues, and then she's also an activist, a woman who works with women who've been raped and brutalized and enslaved in other countries. And he brought her in for a workshop for a whole week or two to work with the wives and with Charlie, with all the women, to be like, just, this is what, like, you would have gone through. Like, this is your mindset. This is, like, where you are in that. And so it's like, you don't, so they don't explain that through, but I'm like, just knowing that they have that and still have this, like, fire and courage to, like, be like, no, like, I'm getting out of here. I think that's just a great, like, human spirit kind of thing. Like, not only for women who maybe have been through something like this, but even men too have been through terrible things. It's like, look, like, humanity, like, endures, I think. And that's what's so interesting about this movie. It's like, everybody's gone crazy. Everybody is terrible. All these terrible people. But there's these little bright spots of, like, you still see a little bit of humanity. Max, who seems to have lost all of his, is, like, slowly working his way back through these women. And they're sort of, I feel like, giving that back to him as the movie goes on, which is really cool.
Yeah, and that's also, I think, like, you know, as I was talking about Tomorrowland too, both of these movies do that in this sort of, like one of the themes of Tomorrowland is essentially, like, us giving up on how bad the world has gotten, you know, and that it's, like, essentially self-fulfilling prophecy. The world is getting worse because we keep seeing it getting worse and not changing anything about it, you know? And so, like, that's a theme running through both of these sorts of things, is this, like, action and this pulling something out of something that seems like a hopeless situation. It's so dire and everything's so much bigger than we are, so what could we possibly do about it but watch the world burn, you know? But no, that's not necessarily how it has to be. Which I think, again, is part of, like, creating feminist movies, is that sort of sense that it's like, this is being in a world that has never really belonged to us. You know, we haven't just quit it. We've tried to do things with it. And that comes through with what these projects have done. So, yeah, I just love everything about Mad Max. And
then not to, we don't want to forget Tom Hardy and how much we've decided we love him so much. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know what it is about him. Like we said, he barely even speaks in this film.
His eyes.
It is.
Just literally for the first, like, half of the movie, he's completely covered. Like, an actor, that has to be hard. Literally, all you have are your eyes.
Yeah.
And he was amazing. He didn't even have that many lines.
I know.
He just grunts a lot.
He grunts the whole movie. And it was like, so parts. And you're so disgusting and dirty and awful.
Dude, say it again.
Me?
Yeah.
Or Alex?
You.
No.
Me. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, his face is covered. He's, like, dirty, awful. Like, he's been hooked up as, like, a blood bag. Awful. But he's like, I'm, like, swooning. I'm like, every time he just kind of, like, looks at me, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy, you're wonderful. I love you so much. Can we hang out? And I've been watching these interviews with him where he's just, like, kind of a quiet person.
Yeah. Just
in the way that he talks about things. And I keep looking for interviews where he's even talking about Mad Max. He doesn't really do, like, the whole circuit deal. I don't know how he gets out of that. I feel like, don't you have to? Maybe he just lets Charlize take care of that for him.
Yeah.
But he's just so, like, he's just quiet. And it's cool. It's really cool to see. But he's able to play this like, crazy cool character who's kind of a badass. But it's, like, at the same time, like, not loud. Yeah. You know, usually I feel like they're like,
and he often is that kind of character. It's like something about his body or whatever that makes it seem like he's, like, these sort of, like, very, like, hardcore characters and stuff like that. But at the end, it's like he's generally, like, he's so soft-spoken, so thoughtful and things like that. And when you do get to, like, read interviews with him and stuff like that, he's very, like, open with the fact that he's like, I'm not really, like, a manly man. you know? It's like, I cry a lot.
They contain multitudes.
Yeah, I'm talking as Tom Hardy, not as me. You know, he's like, you know.
No, I'm telling Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy, you contain multitudes.
But he's like, you know, he's very emotional and very quiet and like things like that. You know, I saw these great pictures from the movie The Drop, which I know you guys haven't seen, but I think you should. Where again he plays this sort of like hardened guy, but he's very like quiet and, you know, emotional as well. And in it there's like a dog plays like a heavy part of this, like pit bull puppy, and there's all these pictures from on set that's just like him with this dog like zipped into his jacket, and he's like making faces at it and kissing it and just like walking around with this dog. And it's just like
Tom Hardy with dogs. Like, it's not like a singular occurrence. Like there's like I think there's like maybe probably a Tumblr.
I'm sure there must be
puppies, which you know should exist.
It should exist. If it doesn't, someone get on that, because it needs to happen. But and I also was saying before, like another sort of movie that flew under the radar, but I think it's gotten enough critical acclaim, people watch it, is this movie Locke. That's just Tom Hardy in a car the entire time, and you never see anyone else in it. You only hear other people's voices. So he's talking like on his car phone on this super crazy day of his life where everything is coming together and falling apart simultaneously, and somehow for an hour and 28 minutes or whatever this movie is, like, you don't mind that it's just Tom Hardy talking. No action, nothing, just Tom Hardy talking about things and talking to people as he has this crazy day of his life. He's amazing.
Yeah.
He needs more credit. That's what I think. Like, everyone knows he's a good actor, but I just don't think it's like people acknowledge like the level of how amazing he is.
Tom Hardy and all the things. Let's start a campaign.
Tom Hardy and all the things.tumblr.com.
Hashtag.
What we talked about last time too that I feel like we should talk about again is how Furiosa, during the whole beginning where she does like veer off path and none of the dudes question her, like she's in charge, you keep waiting for them to be like, what are we doing, you know, and they totally just follow her lead for like 40 minutes before they realize like
wait a minute, this isn't right,
it's not right.
It's even when they do, like, question, like, you know, they're like, you know, the guy leans in, he's like, hey, you know, what's going on? And she's like, oh, we're going east. That's all she says. She doesn't explain it. And he's like, oh, okay. Someone else comes around. We're going east now.
And they're like, all right, cool. And they even call her boss, I think. Hey, boss, like, what's the deal?
Yeah.
We're going this way.
Cool. She's just so like, badass. She's so cool.
Oh, man. I wish I were as cool as Furiosa.
One day.
Yeah. So that's one, clearly, if you haven't seen it yet, it's been out for like 2 weeks now. I don't know what you're waiting for.
Yeah.
Everybody is telling you to see it.
Yeah.
See it. And then the other thing, obviously, as well, was Pitch Perfect 2.
Pitch Perfect.
Which I quite enjoyed. I'm probably in the minority that I think, like, I don't want to say I liked it better than the first one, but I think, like, what it did in this one did more for me in terms of, like, I laughed a lot and I cried a lot in this one as opposed to the first one. That mostly I just, like, really laughed a lot. But this one hit me in the feels a little bit more. It's like the ultimate female friendship movie in this one, right? Because it's like the guys, you know, are such side characters, which they were in the first one too. Like, realistically, I mean, her romance wasn't the center of it, but it was a lot of, like, the tension, you know?
Yeah.
This one, it's like they're, you know, essentially set. You know, he just kind of comes in every now and again, and Benji is kind of an adorable side thing to it, and Bumper, is that the guy's name?
Yeah, Bumper.
Bumper and Fat Amy have their own little thing, but mostly this is a movie about girls in a point in their life. They have to graduate from college, figure out what's going on next, while also doing this singing thing that they love and facing the adversity that's come to them over this. But they're constantly talking about, like, their life goals and, like, what the decisions they need to make about, like, their jobs and their schooling and all this kind of stuff that has, like, nothing to do with guys at all. It's not like, do I get married right away? Like, what will so-and-so think? Like, what if I move to this place and I have to break up with my boyfriend or anything like that? It's, like, straight up just, like, now what?
Yeah.
Oh, and I think we've all been there.
Yeah, and I think it speaks a lot to where young college people are. I feel like I work with college students a lot, and we talk about things that are coming up, and some of them are like, well, pretty much all of them start the sentence with, well, I think I want to do this. I think I want, you know what I mean? It's always, I think. It's not like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to become an accountant. And, I've never actually heard anybody say that, but.
My sister wants to be an accountant.
There we go. So, Corey's sister. But, for the most part, everybody is in that same boat where they're just like, I don't know. And it's weird. And there's a couple girls that, last year, and they're in this kind of weird time where they're like, I don't know what the next step is. I'm just going to kind of work right now and do stuff and figure it out as I go. And it's all very murky and gray out there. And I think it's so different. It feels like from when my parents were in that kind of age where it's like, no, you're getting a job and you're going to support yourself and this is what you do. And it wasn't necessarily about like having a career that you stick with forever. And this is your one chance to get it right. So don't screw it up. It was kind of like, my dad, he like went out and got a job and he was really good at that. So he kept doing that. You know what I mean? So it's just this, I think it's just so different from that generation. And I think we haven't quite figured out how to navigate the grayness where people, there's so many outside forces telling you what to do. And so that's what this movie, I feel like they do that in the midst of leaning on each other. They end up realizing it's like, but at the very end, like, at least we still have like this group, like we'll still have each other no matter what we end up doing next. Right.
It's all very much about that like support system that's built there, which I think is like so key. I mean, one of the things that like stands out in this for me is like it's that lack of like internal competition with each other. And so like they're in this big group of friends and sometimes they don't get along super well, like they fight over stuff. It's not that they don't ever disagree or bicker or anything like that, because really close friends do that. That's not like crazy, but they're not like in competition. So it's like when one girl comes into this who's a like songwriter, the person who was previously like the one arranging the music and all that kind of stuff isn't like, oh, that girl, she's like, at times it takes a second for her to warm up to her more because she's just like her mind's elsewhere. She's like too busy to sort of really pay attention to this girl. But then she realized like, we can help each other out. Why don't we team up and collaborate, and that's the way that like, these friendships function, is instead of it being like anyone who does what I do is a threat to me or anything like that. They like establish these relationships where it's like, how can we help each other? How can I benefit you? You benefit me? Like, how can we further this support system?
Right.
And, it just...
I think that's so cool to show, too. Because I feel like, I think a lot of times you hear like, oh, I'm not friends with other girls because I don't like the drama, or like, oh, girls hate because they're so competitive. And like, I'm not going to deny that there is that element of competitiveness, but I think something that's really cool to show is girls, like you said, like instead of looking at someone like, oh, she's doing the same thing as me, like that's a threat. It's her success is not my failure. Exactly. Like just because someone is doing something, like me or better than me, that doesn't mean that takes away from what I'm doing.
Right.
That's just like, I think we need more of that.
Yeah. And like putting that in movies, because most of the time, like in films, that's not what you see. You see like the like bride wars or
like bride wars.
There's some reason why like some thing comes in between girls that's trivial or whatever. They can't, even like something like Devil Wears Prada or like anything like that. It's always like you're putting like women in these positions where it's like, even if it's the underdog trying to come up, it's still like this false sense that like two people can't coexist who are like trying to do the same thing. You have to like beat down the other woman and be better and, assert yourself over her. And it's so refreshing to see something that doesn't show that element of it. It's like, oh, they are friends. That's what it is. I feel like if I were in groups of friends, and this is one of those things that always baffles me, is like when I do see people on Facebook and stuff talking about the drama in their lives and stuff like that, I'm like, why would you keep those people then? Like, it's because people really like it who say they don't like drama, realistically. But I'm like, if you have people in your life who you constantly feel you have to compete with, or like who make you feel bad about yourself or things like that, like those are not your friends.
No, that's not a true friendship.
Yeah. Friends are the ones that you can sit around a campfire and talk with things. Sit around a podcast and talk to about things. That's what friends are, and not having to feel like, you know, if Alex gets her house in Washington, that she's somehow so much more successful at adulting than I am, and therefore I will resent her.
At adulting.
Are you kidding me? I'm like, now we have a place to stay in Washington.
Yeah. Exactly. So I give that thumbs up to Pitch Perfect 2 for showing an angle on female friendship that like is just so underrepresented in movies for adults. Because I feel like, you know, we're like talking about like kids movies and stuff like that we grew up on, and there's so much of that in it, like Babysitters Club and Now and Then, and like these groups of very different girls hanging out together and like supporting each other and figuring out how to like make their differences cohere into this cool whole. And for some reason, then once you get to movies about teenagers and adults, it's about like pitting them against each other.
Yeah.
Why?
So gross.
Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and which is interesting because I feel like, is it because like we want young girls to like, you know, you want to like build them up and do all this stuff? I'm like, but you know, by the time we still need that, people still need that as they grow older. Yeah. You know, I don't like reach 13 all of a sudden. I'm like, yeah, now I want to see people hating each other. Yeah. It's like, no, I would still love to see groups of women or girls working together towards a common goal, or
exactly. You know. The types of conflict don't have to totally shift. It's like still the same.
I mean, they can be in more grown-up situations and still be... I mean, it's like, I wouldn't take a 9-year-old to see Mad Max. But I would take her to see, you know, Sister of the Traveling Pants.
Yes, exactly.
Which you have these girls working together. So, anyway.
Very different girls.
Very different girls, but still the same message of working together. Yeah. So
I agree. But since we've gone back to the younger things, should we now address what our listeners and commenters have to say about their favorite girl friendship movies? And, importantly, which character from Now and Then they most related to? Laddie, did you get a chance to watch it yet or no?
I didn't. Sorry.
Okay. I did lend it to Kristen, so she can know.
We know you'll watch it eventually. That's all that matters.
I was actually planning on watching it yesterday, but I had to clean a bunch of stuff in my house, and I wanted to be able to actually watch it, and it wasn't one of those ones I can obviously just put on in the background and know what's going on, you know? So I was like, I'd put something in that I'd already seen. Yeah. So, anyway.
Understandable. Well, I said, you know, for my poll that I am, like, dead center between Roberta and Samantha, because I definitely was, like, the tape the boobs down, like, oh, God, why is this happening to me? Tomboy kind of girl. But also, like, the weird, like, into sci-fi and paranormal and writing kind of thing. So it's, like, it feels like cheating, but I really am, like, dead center between those two characters. What about you, Alex?
I think that I'm Teeny and Sam, because I definitely was, like, boy crazy and, like, stuffing my bra and all that fun stuff, you know, trying to, like, grow up really fast.
Yeah.
But I feel like I really also identified with Sam as a kid watching that movie, because I did have parents that were divorced, you know, and a little sister too. And so I was like, oh, that's someone like me who's kind of going through the same stuff that I am. Yeah. And I really like seeing that in a movie was like really cool to be able to like identify with someone going through that.
Which I definitely think that's kind of like why they made Sam like the narrator of this story, is that I think she has a lot of traits that speak to a lot of the girls that need this movie, you know, that she sort of speaks for those of us who don't see ourselves necessarily in a lot of TV and movies. I will say, so last week when we talked about this, that we talked about reluctant Chrissies. People who like, they're like, nobody ever wants to be Chrissy. Like the girls like
all been Chrissy at some point,
right? And she's like super sheltered and conservative and knows nothing, like doesn't understand how the birds and bees work, and is always like the one who's like, guys, I don't think this is a good idea. If it were Rugrats, she's Chucky Finster, you know.
Oh.
Or she's what's his face from Tarzan. Is that water sanitary? It looks questionable to me.
Exactly. Good reference. So yeah, but I did find, so like my friend Chelsea, she had texted me and she said, you know, she really wished like, she's like, she kind of feels like Sam, or she wished she could be Sam, but really, you know, she's like, at the end of the day, I have to admit that I'm a Chrissy. And then, what was it? She had a really good phrase. She was like, I was like, man, no one ever wants to be Chrissy. She's like, of course not. No child with, like, what did she say? Like, ethics, and who wanted to have ethics and
and morals or something.
Yeah, something like that, wanted to be associated with Chrissy. And I was like, I like that that's a category of child. A child that really wanted to have ethics at the center of their lives. I thought that was fantastic. But then I found someone who is not a reluctant Chrissy this week. And funny enough, her name is Chrissy. Her name's Chrissy. It's Chrissy Summering. So Chrissy said, I literally am Chrissy. Now and Then was the first movie I remember seeing in theaters. I think I raised myself to emulate the character. It was my life goal to marry a nerd and have all my friends get together in the treehouse of our youth. I was incredibly naive, while all my friends were all more experienced in the world. I felt like I could relate to Chrissy, so in a way, I made her choices for my life because I felt like they fit. Like,
there you go.
Amazing.
Hey, I love that. I like that.
So good for you, Chrissy, for embracing your Chrissy-ness. I think that's great. Sean Thompson said on Twitter that he is definitely teeny, because he is fabulous. That's a good reason. I never had the confidence. Oh, that's what Chelsea said she wanted to be. She said she wanted to be teeny because of that confidence that she thought was cool that she had, even if it was sort of feigned in a way, like, you know, compensating for things. She was like, I felt like teeny's confidence was admirable. But then she said, but really, no, that's not who I was. Caitlin says that for Now and Then she was only a tomboy for a bit, but it was definitely right around the time I got boobs. And so she relates to Roberta. No matter what I do, they just keep getting bigger. And let's see. Now and Then. Oh boy. There's a lot of references to other similar movies in here, especially Babysitters Club. So we'll get to that as well. Sorry, I'm having trouble finding where in these. Okay. Anna says that she also related to Roberta's tomboy boob plight. So Roberta seemed to be across the board one. You either were like Roberta or teeny in that phase. Merid said that she guesses she's the only one in this thread who related to teeny's boob plight and the pudding bra and everything. Oh, and this reminds me, Alex has a pretty good story.
That's true. Alex, do you relate to that at all?
Yeah.
Go through this again.
You do. You need to go through this again.
I just want to point out the genius, like, of the pudding boobs. And I swear, I still think about those pudding boobs. Like, that's just such a great idea.
Right.
Sure, tons of girls saw that movie and were like, brilliant.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I can't ask my mom to go buy me, like, chocolate Jell-O pudding.
And then it just disappears.
Make boobs. So I, worked with what I had, and I used to use tissue to stuff my bra, and I thought
it was a lot of children did,
Yes, and I thought it was a great idea to stuff my bra when we were going to the pool, not really thinking about what happens to tissue when it gets wet, and so I I thought it looked great, and I jump in the pool with my bikini, and I come up out of the water, and the tissue is floating all around my head. And everyone's like, what is that? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, it's so weird.
Oh, that kills me.
It's just so good. And I love it. I just love it so much just because I feel like they had to have known, but no one called you out on it.
So nice.
They were so nice to you about it. Like, oh, what's happening? You're like...
It's the craziest thing. I don't know.
Craziest thing. There must be something wrong with the filter.
So sad. I love it.
Oh.
Yeah. So Alex agrees. Merid, the teeny thing, pudding genius.
I was there.
Laura says Samantha was who she identified with most. And let's see. Oh, and Lauren also was our Cumberbatch consultant. Is a reluctant Chrissy as well. So there's that. And then we have also people's favorite female friendships and things, which are fun. So John Vanderhoff, he said pretty obvious ones, but Bridesmaids, Thelma and Louise, and Girl Interrupted. Bridesmaids is obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, Thelma and Louise is obvious. Girl Interrupted, I'm going to say that's not the most obvious pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me. But it is a good female friendship movie. So, okay, John.
So we'll give it to you.
We'll let you have it. Duncan, we're not sure if he's joking or not, but he said Frozen. The love between sisters saves the day. Caitlin says Parks and Rec. Leslie and Anne.
Just had this conversation last night. We were going back.
Oh, I lost you.
And
wait, say it again. Just had this conversation last night.
Just had this conversation last night. We were going through and talking about Anne or Leslie's like things. What are they like? Like things she says about Anne, like, "Oh, Anne, you beautiful starfish." Like,
yeah, Anne, you
beautiful tropical fish or whatever, you know. And it's like, "Oh, Anne, I forget you're so pretty. You've never been dumped before." Like, "Oh, so beautiful and wonderful." It's like, you know, it's like all of these things, and they have Galentine's Day, and you have the relationship between April and Leslie, which is just so wonderful. Yeah. And then even towards it, I think at the beginning, Donna wasn't so much like a main character, but as she became more central to the story, you even see her and Leslie's relationship and her and April's relationship, and especially in that last season, which was like so good for all of the characters. It was like, oh, it's just so great. And you're right. Whoever said that person, you're correct. That is one of my favorites as well. So.
Yes, that was a very good pick from Caitlin Macy Beckwith. So good job.
I think that's a good example of what we were talking about, of like adult women supporting each other and having like this real, true, solid friendship instead of being like this catty.
Totally.
Yeah. And even, and there's even times where like Leslie and April go head to head. Like Leslie ends up wanting lot 48, remember, in that one episode to build a dog cart, and Leslie, no, it's fine. I've wanted it. I've needed it. You know, been working with her the past 4 years, and it's I don't know. It's just so great. But then they end up always like, it always comes back to the fact that they love each other, and I love that core. That's always like kind of the main underlying theme, that like unbridled optimism and love that all of these characters seem to have a little bit of. Even Ron, who's like reluctant in it, it's like even he's like, it's rubbed off on him, and he sees like how enriching it is and how great it is.
Exactly. Oh, I love that.
I just love it so much.
I love it so much. Okay. And Merid says a League of Their Own. I agree. And First Wives Club.
Heyo.
Love that movie.
So good.
Yeah. And then we had the confusing one from Sean that said Pokemon, Ashley and Pikachu can't be stopped. I don't know what that means.
Did we figure it out? Do we know?
And 2 people liked it who are geeks and would know these kinds of things. And so I'm like, maybe that's a joke and I'm just not getting it. But Sean, you can explain it to us, okay?
Yeah.
Mac says, pretty obvious, his answer is Broad City.
Yes, Abby and Alana.
I love them
They're
so
my
much. Yes.
If you're not, I don't know what it, like, if you're not watching Broad City, I don't know it's like not having Netflix or something. It's like, what are you doing with your life? It's amazing.
Yeah, Kristen is behind. Get in on that. I'm just saying.
On Hulu. You have no excuse.
Yeah, all of it. All of the Broad Cities on Hulu.
Yes, all the Broad City.
Yeah. Erica says Grey's Anatomy when Yang was still there. True story. I can't speak to it now that she's not, but then for sure. I think Mered's trolling me by throwing in Gilmore Girls because she knows how much I hate it.
How can you hate Gilmore Girls?
Okay, we don't have
time for that rant.
Okay, we need to talk about this.
Yeah, we'll save that one for another cast. Duncan says Daria because Daria and Jane were the best.
They were.
I love Daria. Yeah, I'm glad he brought that up just because I had forgotten how much I love it, and now he brought it back. Anna asked, does Orphan Black count? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll say so. They're friends, even though they're technically kind of the same person. Broad City for sure, but I'm a cheerleader, and Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's like, I like your originality, Anna. She wasn't going to go for any of the normal,
obvious choices,
middle of the road choices. Brittany says Babysitters Club. Elizabeth Marsh also says Babysitters Club, and Rizzoli and Isles when she watched that. Brittany and Elizabeth also add Anne of Green Gables. And Laura adds one that's close to your heart, laddie, Brooke and Peyton from One Tree Hill.
Brooke and Peyton, OTH for life.
And then Anna also adds, Bletchley Circle, obviously. And everyone knows how we feel about that. John Craighead, not the original Vanderhoff, says Baby Mama and the whole Tina Fey, Amy Poehler thing. Also Mean Girls is a classic. Because that does both ends of it, the female friendship and the competition. and points out how ridiculous the competition is. Liz says Pitch Perfect and Pitch Perfect 2 are pretty good for current picks. And Roxanne agrees with Anne of Green Gables. And she also says My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. Which I have never actually seen. So
I have seen it, and it is amazing.
The amount of fandom it's spawned, I imagine it must be, like, pretty great.
Magic.
Yeah.
What is that even on? Is it on Nickelodeon? Where do you find that?
ABC Family. It's on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. One of these days I'll sit and binge it.
Can't do it anymore.
Yeah, so some good picks. Oh, I remember Ben said something really funny on Twitter as his answer too, and now I can't find it because it was 2 weeks ago, so that's like a million replies ago. So Ben, I'm sorry.
Why did anybody put Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants?
I know, that's really surprising.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that's kind of bizarre.
I cry every time I watch that movie.
Yep.
It's like one of those movies that you know is kind of corny.
Yeah.
And it's like not the best, but it's like you always go to it on those like Netflix days.
Yep.
Is it on Netflix?
It was.
Oh, that's good to know.
I don't know. I have both of them on DVD, and I have all of the books.
Of course you do. Yeah, and I love that they like legit hang out in real life.
Dude,
yes, they're all
that
friends.
makes it even better that those girls are like Blake Lively's kids' godmothers.
Yeah.
And they're all at each other's like weddings.
Yeah.
You seriously, like, I can't even handle how much I love it. Like, I love it so much.
Because it's like in real life they're so different too, much like so you're just
feel like they should be friends.
No,
but they are, and it's so wonderful. It's
glorious.
I feel like they're gonna make a third one. I heard they're gonna make another one.
I feel like I've heard that.
How are they gonna do that? Because they comboed the second and third book into one movie.
They do what they want.
The second movie.
Oh, I don't know.
And the fourth book was not my favorite.
I think I only read the first two, and I don't.
She should have stopped after the third one, because the third one was like, "Oh, this is a good, like, hopeful send off," and then she made another one. I was like, "Okay, you can stop. It's fine. Get it."
Well, Kristen, I don't know that they're not going to make the movie just because the book wasn't your cup of tea.
Why don't they listen to me?
they might go over your head on this one and make the movie anyway. I mean, because realistically, no matter what they do, it's like people are going to be, because of, it's almost like a cult sort of movie, you know, in the sense that it's not like it's a huge mainstream thing that like everybody and their mom goes to see. It's like it has a distinct audience that watches it, and so that audience is going to come back. Like, you're going to watch it and you're going to buy it on DVD.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Yeah, exactly.
So good.
Me and my friends have a notebook that we like started after that movie, and we like mail it to each other and write stories about our life.
Really? I've always wanted to do that. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then we put like little things in there, like my friend Kelly will like draw pictures, and one time my friend Amber found a mixed CD that we had like made for each other. Like Kelly or one of us had made like the same CD for everybody in high school, and so she like put that in like a little sleeve and like taped it. And it's fun.
Love that. That's amazing. So creative. And then Melanie, sweet Melanie, sent us a little video telling us not only why Babysitters Club is her favorite series of all time, but actually like giving a lot of good information about Babysitters Club.
Good fact.
And then it'll be on her YouTube channel. I don't want to, you know, steal her thunder. But one of the things I thought was funny about it was that she pointed out like they stopped progressing in age.
Mm-hmm. I never that was like
never noticed it.
Oh my gosh, they don't. I never noticed that at all.
Yeah, she's like, they have Thanksgiving, multiple Thanksgivings, Christmases, all this kind of stuff, but they don't get any older. And I'm like, what? Mind blown. So Melanie, holy cow.
Thanks for pointing that out to us dum-dums.
I thought that was... Yeah, that was amazing. So thank you for that, Mel. And for those listening, you can check it out on her YouTube channel. We'll link to it on the blog, of course. It was a delightful little thing. And Melanie's voice is just so sweet.
I could listen to her talk all day.
I was like about to fall asleep.
She should read a Babysitters Club book on tape.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Melanie, here's our request. Your next video, please read Babysitters Club. And
although it'll be like 20 hours long, so
it's okay. It's fine. If I need a 20-hour nap, I'm going to play that.
It's not a nap for you, and that's a coma.
That is, yeah. Any insights you ladies want to share as a final note before we hang up the special female friendship episode?
No.
I feel very honored to be included in the female friendship episode.
Of course, and we're honored to have you, Alex. It's always a good time.
I don't have a
cheers with my
I have
mustache
my
mug.
I have a
Mustache mug.
Velu mug.
Aww, so cute. I love it. Well then, we hope you appreciated this little jaunt down memory lane and through some cool girls and TV and movies, and maybe it'll inspire you to go watch some of these things because there's a lot of awesome ladies out there. So make sure that you check out the blog. We'll link to everything that we talked about, specifically Melanie Raye's video and maybe some clips of some of these movies so that you guys can check them out. I know you're all eager to see All I Want to Do.
Dude, it's so good.
Yeah. Clearly a movie named after a Sheryl Crow song. How can it go wrong?
It actually was called The Hairy Bird, but they thought it would be too offensive for, I know. It's had like a million different names. It was called Strike.
Wow.
So, yeah, it had some struggles.
Okay.
It's
I'm going to
so
have to look this up. Yeah, follow us, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, all the places where you can find the podcast. Just go ahead and click that subscribe button or that follow button or whatever the case may be. Talk to us. Let us know what you thought. Let us know any ideas you have for the future. We're always listening. And yeah, I think that about sums it up. So for the Fan Cave this week, I'm Corrigan Vaughn.
And I'm Kristen Laterell.
And I'm Alex Blakey.
Peace out, everybody.
Take care, kids. You can do it. I believe you can fly. I believe you can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. I spread my wings and fly away. Oh, I believe you can soar. I see you running through that open door. Oh, I believe you can fly.
I can fly.